so many people are looking at, say, somebody like Damian Lillard right now. And he could write a ticket if he wants to, hasn't. Did you ever go through that in your career? That if in this day and age of super teams and trying to join up with other people, did you ever consider anything like that to get that ring, to get out of the second round, as you pointed out earlier in this conversation?
No.
Why not?
No. I could have. I actually could have signed with the Lakers back in, I think it was 2004, 2005, take less money and go join Kobe and Shaq. I think that was.
What happened?
I didn't want to do that.
Why?
Because I wanted to go somewhere and be a focal point. It wasn't like that back then. Like, it wasn't guys, being the franchise player going and join other guys like a Shaq and Kobe. Like, we didn't do that. You didn't sacrifice like that back then. That just wasn't the culture of the NBA. To say would I have done that if it was back then? Probably so. I mean, but that wasn't our culture as, players back then.
Was there ever a conversation where you told Kobe, I'm not coming? Did that ever happen?
No.
Did he ever recruit you or try to get you to do it?
Not while I was in my prime, no. Kobe wasn't recruiting anybody back then. No. Are you serious? No, but I mean, we almost formed that dynasty in Orlando. Myself, Grant Hill, and Tim Duncan. But it was a deal breaker at dinner with Tim Duncan, Grant Hill, Timmy's, I think it was fiance at the time. And I think she asked Doc Rivers a question about can family fly on the team plane? And I think Doc answered that, in a way that she didn't like it. And I think that was the deal breaker. That's the story.
This was over a dinner?
This was over dinner.
Where
in Orlando.
And this was when? When did
this was 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's you.
When myself and Grant signed with Orlando.
Yes.
Right. So I was a third recruit, rightfully so. I mean, you had Grant Hill and you had Timmy Duncan that they were recruiting. And it would have been all three of us had Doc allowed families to fly on that plane.
Do you wish Doc had flown off?
Rich. Are you kidding
heard
me?
this before?
No, I have not heard this before.
Yeah, I've heard this.
You heard this,
You've
right?
heard this before? I've never heard this.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah. This is real talk. This is good tea right here.
So were you
on the Rich Eisen Show?
We're all about the TT, man.
How many titles for that team?
Oh man, and you got to think, without Grant Hill, I'm playing against, a Detroit Pistons team that is really freaking good, like one of the best defensive teams.
Right.
And I'm up 3-1 on these guys. Imagine having Tim Duncan on that team.
That's a wrap.
Right? Yeah. In the Eastern Conference at that time.
Well, I mean, I think you're freaking out Spurs fans right now, considerably.
With all due respect to Andrew
they're
DeClercq,
cemented
right?
5 championships. I mean, arguably the greatest power forward of all time. They're good. Greatest coach of all time, Pop. They have a lot to brag about.